Higher yielding stocks and ETFs are amazing to have throughout your long-term portfolio. Because in my opinion, having these different assets that pay a lot more as far as cash flow goes on a monthly or quarterly basis, in the context for a dividend growth / income focused investor, can definitely help get your dividend income up to the point a lot faster to where you could potentially retire completely off your dividend portfolio or just use some of your dividends ongoingly for things like vacations, bills, or other things. Now, even though higher yielding stocks that pay a lot more dividends on a frequent basis can definitely help raise the cash flow in your portfolio, as a lot of us know, not all higher yielding stocks and ETFs are created equal. But in this video specifically, we're going to be going through 5 single stocks that all offer an initial super high starting yield compared to most other stocks and ETFs across the market. And what's special about every single one of these 5 different single stocks is that for the most part, their dividends are going to be extremely safe for years and years to come. So if you want to see which 5 stocks offer an initial super high dividend yield, but also offer a safe dividend at that, make sure to stick around, drop a like down below, and let's get into the first one. Real quick, for those that haven't already, make sure to go to the first link in my description and grab my new dividend investing ebook, where I share exactly how I went from $0 invested to now earning over $6,000 on a monthly basis and over $1 million invested in the markets. Along with the ebook, you're also going to receive my custom dividend tracker, where you can track your dividend progress on an ongoing basis and reach your dividend investing goals. So make sure to grab yourself a copy of my dividend investing ebook and the new dividend tracker today. It's the first link in my description. So the first high yielding stock that offers a 7.22% forward yield, and this is even with the stock being up pretty substantially in share price, is Enterprise Product Partners, or ticker symbol EPD. Now, I've owned shares of EPD throughout my portfolios for years now. And honestly, over the years, ever since I started buying EPD, even in the low 20s, this stock has not disappointed me whatsoever. Now, EPD has done very well over the last few years, and this is partially due to the fact that it is in the energy and oil and gas storage and transportation. And what I always tell dividend more income focused investors, if you do want some exposure in this area, definitely look into EPD as your first pick. Now, according to Simply Safe Dividends, Enterprise Product Partners has a 65 on the dividend safety score, has a very low beta of 0.3. EPD has had some pretty significant dividend growth over time, considering that it already offers a massive starting yield off top. Now, with EPD's current 7+% yield, that means that every single $100 that you invest into EPD as of right now, you're going to be getting around $7 plus per year in dividends, which also, at least off of historical numbers, is going to get bigger and bigger over time. Now, I promise that these higher yielding dividend stocks are going to offer a safe dividend, and of course, we don't know what's going to happen in the future. I don't have a magic wand to say if or if not a stock or ETF is going to pay dividends forever, but just going off of historical numbers, EPD has not only paid a dividend every single year for the last 25 years, but also EPD has raised their dividend every single year over the last 25 years. Now, in my perspective, there definitely have been better times to buy into this one, and although it's pretty expensive as of right now, compared to where it's traded in the last few years, I still myself am grabbing a few shares of EPD here and there, and definitely check out this one if you haven't already. The next single stock that's offering a massive starting yield compared to most other stocks and ETFs across the market, but also offers a safe dividend, is one of my all-time favorite monthly paying dividend stocks, Main Street Capital, or ticker symbol MAIN. Now, Main currently is offering a 6.02% forward yield, which is much lower than what we've seen over the last 5-year average, and this is because Main Street Capital just keeps going up and up and up in price. Now, Main Street Capital is a business development company and one of the best in the entire sector. Not to mention, Main has paid a dividend every single month for 16 years straight without a reduction and 13 years of consecutive dividend increases. But it gets better than that. Main Street Capital also has a history of paying massive special dividends, and this is when the company does good. You are going to get your dividend, but also a special dividend on top of that. Now, like I said, Main Street Capital does pay a dividend every single month, and as of right now, by buying into a share of Main, you're going to expect around 24.5 cents per share per month for every single share that you own. But keep in mind, there's also a history of special dividends that are offered, so we're going to see if Main Street Capital can keep up the pace and also pay some massive special dividends in the future as well. There's really not much more to say about Main Street Capital. I've talked about it plenty of times on my channel, but if we're looking for a safe, high yielder, single stock, Main Street Capital 100% has got to be in the list. And speaking of an initial higher yielding stock that also offers an extremely safe dividend, we have to of course include ticker symbol Realty Income, which is almost having a starting yield as of right now of 6% forward. Now, with the way Realty Income is trading as of currently, you are basically getting one of the highest starting yields that investors have seen over the past 5 years. Basically, the highest yield, other than a few times in history, is what you can lock in today if you buy shares of Realty Income. Now, commercial real estate obviously has headwinds with interest rates and other things, but as far as I'm concerned, a lot of that is already priced in, and Realty Income has much more upside than downside from here, in my opinion. Like we said, a 6% starting yield more or less, and an average around 3% dividend increase over time, and a monthly payer with a 0.62 beta. Realty Income has not only paid dividends on time for 55 years in a row without a reduction, but also the last 29 years in a row, we've seen Realty Income's dividend get larger and larger and larger. So much to the point to where even when I first started buying shares of Realty Income during my early days of my investing career, and keep in mind I'm only 31 years old, back in the day when I started buying Realty Income shares, I was getting paid around 21 cents per share per month. And now those same exact shares that I bought back then are paying me north of 26 cents per share per month. And I get it, that might not sound like a lot, that's only a few cents more per month. But if we multiply that across thousands of shares across 12 months per year, the numbers definitely add up. As far as a single stock that has a decently high yield and has a safe dividend, Realty Income is definitely one to look into. Now, I was sort of torn on whether or not I would add the next two in this video, but I want to add them in. Let's talk about it. The next one is Altria, or ticker symbol MO, which currently has a dividend yield of 8.39%, and this dividend yield is actually shrinking down lower and lower, and this is as Altria's share price continues to move up in price. Now, Altria is obviously in the consumer staples tobacco, has a very low beta of 0.49%. Altria Group has some dividend growth as well. The last 5 years, we see around 5% more or less, which is not bad whatsoever, especially because Altria Group, of course, does pay a massive dividend off top. Now, Altria Group also is supposed to have another dividend increase this next up-and-coming dividend payout, which is going to be awesome because I personally have a few hundred shares of Altria across my portfolio. And even though Altria's dividend maybe isn't the safest dividend across the entire market as of right now, depending on who you ask, Altria does have 54 years in a row of dividend increases, which means it has 54 years in a row of paying dividends without a reduction. So say what you want about Altria, it's definitely not my favorite stock across the entire market. I've made this clear many times before, although I know a lot of dividend investors absolutely love this one and own a ton of it. But regardless, Altria Group, even though it is borderline safe as far as simply safe dividends go, Altria Group's dividend should be safe and the initial yield is massive. Which brings us to the last single stock that does offer a massive starting yield and has a safe dividend, at least historically. We're talking about ticker symbol VZ, or Verizon, which currently has almost a 6.57% forward yield and a 70 on the safety score. Now, Verizon makes up a large portion of my personal portfolio, and I've made it very clear that I think I bought a little bit too much Verizon in my early days of investing, but whatever, we can't go back in time. And even though Verizon's dividend, again, compared to maybe all the other stocks we talked about, isn't the safest, a lot of people would say, Verizon still has 40 years of dividends without a reduction and 17 years of dividend increases, which even though the dividend increases have been pretty tiny over the last year or two, they still are increases, which keeps the dividend growth streak alive. Now, telecommunication services, this entire side of the market is not necessarily something that I personally would want to be any more exposed to, but again, I do already own a ton of Verizon. But for the video's sake, this definitely made it through the screener of looking for single stocks that have a safe dividend or relatively safe and are also offering a massive, massive starting yield. So those are 5 single stocks that are all offering a massive starting yield as of right now where they're trading, and all for the most part have super safe dividends, or at least have had tons of dividends paid out historically. Now, out of every single one of those 5 stocks we went through, I want to hear from you guys down below. Which of those single higher yielders is your favorite? If you had to pick one, let us know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to please drop a like and subscribe for more future content like this. Thanks as always for stopping by, and if you are interested in investing, make sure to check out these recent videos I posted right here.